Welcome back to another episode of the Zuriel Show. We're on episode 15 with Ruth Mbugua. Ruth, introduce yourself to the people, who you are, and simply what you do.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm happy to be here on the Zuriel Show. It's an amazing show. I've been seeing all the work you've been doing around digital marketing and enlightening other people about digital marketing in Africa. Yeah, even
Thank you.
watching the other podcasts has actually been amazing. Seeing Robert and Susan and all the other people enlightening people about financial literacy and the like. So I'm privileged to be here today to talk a bit about myself and about the marketing field. So my name is Ruth
Lovely.
Mbugua. I'm a marketing and communications professional. I deal with corporate communications and marketing events. I also do digital marketing and I consult also for businesses.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Wonderful introduction, Ruth. And also your compliment as to what you're doing at Zuriel means a lot to us. So yeah, just to get started, let the people know, how did you get started in the field of marketing? What was that journey like for you?
Okay. For me, starting with my background, I didn't study
Yeah,
actually marketing and communications to begin with. So I
interesting.
just veered and found myself in the field. Yeah, so when I was starting off, I did my undergrad in actuarial science. Then I did a bit of accounting, I did my CPAs, but I didn't want to move into the insurance field. So I found myself in the financial industry instead. So I started
Mm.
off doing product development and money remittances in the banking industry. So that's how I started off. How I moved into the marketing field, an opportunity just arose. I was like, why not? So I started off by, okay, you can create content. I was like, okay, we can give it a try. So I started doing stories on our blogs, doing a bit of social media, and doing a bit of marketing because I found it to be a bit more creative than just the usual mundane tasks. I'm not a person who stays in one task at a time. So I started moving slowly, shifting towards that. So as I learned more about it, I went back to school and studied digital marketing and went ahead to do now a master's in project management. So from there, I was able now to to move professionally into the marketing and communications field. So from there, I've done 7 years of doing corporate communications and managing marketing events and doing digital marketing from there. So that's how I found myself in the field, just taking the opportunity and running with it.
Wow, wow, very interesting story and start to your career. One thing I like to dive into when it comes to my guests,
Mm.
such as yourself, you're a very lively character. I'd like to know, what is the one lesson that you learned in high school that is still relevant to you today in your career?
I'd say just having a positive mindset and a learning mindset, a growth mindset. You see, when you're
Yes.
much younger, you will not be able to know how your path will go. But if you're able to keep
Yeah.
a positive mindset in everything, taking the lessons as you go, because not everything will be uphill or everything will come a success in a day's time. So everything is you're building on top of it, you're building on top of it. So if you keep an attitude of learning and growing, you'll be able to navigate a lot of things in life.
Very interesting. Wow. Very well spoken as well.
Yeah.
You know, the field of marketing,
Yeah.
it's constantly changing. If you look at how ads and content was being done
Yeah.
in the last 15 years ago compared to today, it's completely different, you know? One thing I like
Right.
to bring out in this
Yeah.
show is
Yeah.
the different aspects in terms of how the marketing industry will change and shift in the next 10, 15 years. In your own opinion, how different do you see the world of marketing in the year 2030?
Okay. Looking back from where we've come from, we started with mass media, TVs, radio, newspapers. We were doing a lot of mass media. But where we are
Yeah,
now, we're moving more into online spaces, digital spaces, and we're seeing more personalized ads where you're able to measure what is my ad doing, what is its worth, who is it reaching, when you're able to see all those things. So seeing where we've come from and where we're going, in my opinion, I'd say we're moving more into more personalized, we're moving more to micro targeting. Because right now, as we
yes.
can see, we have right now where we are, we're doing more of macro targeting where we can use influencers to reach the masses on digital media and also on social media. But as we continue moving, can give you a recommendation. If I come to Emmanuel, I know Emmanuel can give me a recommendation for ABC, and I trust your opinion.
Yeah.
So even before I'm buying a product, I'll be able to say, okay, what does Emmanuel think of it? If he thinks it's a good thing, most chances are I'm gonna go with it. So we are moving more
Yes.
towards more personalized ads where you're able to say, okay, if my friends recommend this to me, it might as well be legit compared to maybe
Yes.
an influencer who might just be marketing their brand. Because as we are seeing nowadays, maybe they are promoting the brands that are coming along. So I will not be sure whether are they doing this for their paycheck or are they legitly using this product. So we are moving more
Mm-hmm.
towards that. Also, looking at in terms of that is more of advertising, but looking at it in terms of marketing. Previously, people used to get into to buy into products and services, but now we are seeing people
Yeah.
buying into brands themselves. So we need to know what is it that your brand stands for, what is it that you
Yes.
advocate for, what is it that you're doing behind the scenes, not just in front for the customer. What are you doing for your staff? What is it that you actually stand for as a brand? So people won't just be buying products, but they'll be buying into your products and seeing what is it that the organization really stands for. Yeah, so that will be my take for the future of
Lovely
marketing and
insight. One thing I
advertising.
really picked up that I really like is the personalization that will have to be focused on. If you look at 10, 15 years ago,
Yeah.
consumers were not as smart as they are today. Nowadays, people don't just care about seeing
Mm.
your product is on sale. They don't, as much as yes, that helps at the end of the day.
Mm.
What helps is that
Yeah.
personalization that you went in depth into, and I really, really like that. Uh, just to add on as well
Yeah.
to that is
Yeah.
when it comes to maybe just to get your take on as well, you know how you see different companies,
Mhm.
coming onto LinkedIn, posting their content. What do you feel is the
Right.
common challenges that a lot of these businesses are having? Because people post on LinkedIn and they claim that they're not really getting any traffic, they're not really getting any leads unless they use the paid traffic. And even the individuals that use paid traffic are doing it in a way that almost they're setting themselves up as though they're not trying to build a relationship with the consumer. Is that something you see
Yeah.
a lot of businesses doing? And what's your take on that?
Mm. Yeah, it's true. What you're saying, there's been a lot of people are not able to know how do we navigate this whole LinkedIn field, what is happening, what is good, what is bad. Most people have they have a view about Facebook, Instagram. People know a bit about it and how to run it, even with the ads, and people have a grip about it. But when it comes to LinkedIn, I think mainly because it's more of a professionals networking group, they're not able to know, okay, what do we do around it? So as we were talking
Yes,
about marketing and advertising, we're moving into more customer oriented. What does your customer want to see on the various platforms? I know if I'm going to
yes,
Instagram, people want to see photos and see things like that. If I'm going to see Facebook and every platform has its way of marketing to it. So even when you come to LinkedIn as a business, we're moving more to a customer oriented kind of field. So you should know, okay, so if for businesses, my take will be find out what are people coming to LinkedIn to do. We need to be more customer oriented than business oriented. It shouldn't be we are pushing our brands onto the customer. It should be us asking the customer, what is it you want from us? Then we tailor make our marketing, our advertising, our communications based on that. So that way we'd be able to know, okay, when we come here, this is what people are coming here to do.
yes.
So I think it's a bit of a catch-22 because people are here for different reasons and people are here for so trying to get that balance between people and businesses is a bit tricky. But once you're able to interact with the consumer and engage with them and know this is what kind of thing that they want to see on the platform, that will actually really
Yes.
help. Yeah.
Oh, oh, very, very well analyzed answer. Really like your take on that. Now, I recently put up a
Yeah.
post talking about that Netflix show, the Social Dilemma. You know, there's a lot of people who have different takes on it.
Yes.
Some people
Yes.
believe, yeah, some people feel like yes, that show went in the direction, went in the right direction in terms of yes, social media has its goods. There's the pros and the cons of social media. Just as to start with, as a
Yeah.
layer, what do you think of that show overall in terms of the message that was being communicated?
Okay. I love the show. I like how they are trying to show the backside of social media. media, the dynamics that go behind it, the algorithms, how the programmers and all the people behind the scenes actually, what the things that they are doing behind the scenes to actually run social media. Many times we consume it, we use it, but we don't focus a lot on what goes on behind the scenes. So I like how they are
Yeah.
bringing out what actually happens behind the scenes. So it's actually, I really enjoyed, and it shared a lot of insights about it, but also to look at it in terms of the social dilemma, as they have called it. It's a dilemma because it has its pros, it has its cons. But as we were discussing with you, I think my take on it
Yeah.
is social media is what you make it. So
Yes.
social media, the same way we can say we met on LinkedIn, we connected on LinkedIn, and we're able to share insights with each other. So we can use it for
Yes.
good. But if we allow social media to be the driving force behind our choices, our opinions, how we look at ourselves. If I go to the gram today and I'm seeing my friends posting about vacations and all that, then I start comparing my life with them, it will actually have an adverse effect on me. That's true. So if you use it,
Yes.
if you look at it in terms of that, it's actually depends on your mind. How do you feed your mind? So if I come to a platform, I'm connecting with like-minded people, people with insights, people who I learn from, who I also share insights with. It is actually adding
Yes.
value to me. But if I'm just using it for other reasons, well, it won't help you. So it actually depends on the individual. A few months ago, there are some companies that
Yeah.
boycotted advertising on Facebook and all that due to ethical issues. But at the end of the day, honestly, social media is just run by the people who are actually there. So you can't really control it because we have to accept advancement in technology is here and we have to live with it. So it's you as an individual who needs to decide, okay, how will I allow myself to interact with it? Yeah. You can also be an addict. So it depends on you as a person. Yeah.
Yes. Wow, lovely. My take on it, what I felt was you have parents who have this technology that they didn't grow up with, and all of a sudden they have to raise their
Yeah.
children who that's all they were surrounded themselves with. Now, the analogy I gave in the comment section for that post, one of the replies was an individual who is a basic example who's hooked to cigarettes. The cigarette company is there to make money, and their purpose is to provide you with a particular product. Now, of course, the examples are completely different, but the
Yeah.
outcomes are more or less the same because it's almost a sort of addiction and negative addiction that comes with it, having that particular product being consumed on a regular basis. But as a parent who is raising a child in what advice let me say what advice would you give to a parent who's raising their child in this digital age in the world of social media?
Oh, wow, that's a tricky one. More and more about these things faster than you can actually even keep up with them. I think we are even unable to keep up with the kids nowadays because there's something new coming out every time. But
Yes,
for me, as I
yes,
go back to the foundation of what I was saying, if you train your child on, okay, these are your values, these are the values we uphold in our home, these are the things that we hold dear to us, these are our core values. And once you give them the discipline, also this whole thing about screen time, as you're raising kids, even when they're still small, this thing of having
yes,
maybe a limited screen time can actually help with that, because that will guide you in knowing, okay, it won't make them as addicted, because if they're always on TV or on PS or on things, or giving them phones at a very early age, that makes them unaddicted. Because we both, even as parents, they have a part to play, because sometimes people use it as a distraction. If your kid is disturbing you, you just give them the phone to scroll and all that. So it's up to us, maybe that thing of limiting screen time and giving them values. Yeah, it happens. It's the truth. That's what happens in society. So yeah, just maybe giving them a limited screen time and giving them the discipline, because at a certain age it will be their decision to make. So just giving them the values and
yes.
limiting screen time even when they're younger. Yeah.
Lovely,
What do
lovely
you think
insight.
about parents? Yeah.
Yeah, that one is a very I should have even mentioned that's a very complex topic to get into because at the same time you may argue that there's not enough data to actually give an actual sound answer to that. But to be fair, we've had about 5 to 10 years to analyze the just as the example in Social Dilemma, how the recent spike in
Yeah.
self-harm, individuals
Right.
being their social skills going down, that kind of a thing. But my advice to parents would be how you
Mm.
raise your children is you will have to raise them to be an individual to live for themselves and not for other people. What that means is you
Mm.
shouldn't encourage your child, due to lack of a better term, to be this. Because, okay, let me just start by saying no parent would ever want their child to be addicted to something, just to start with.
Right.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
you have people who feel that social media is negative. And I believe that if we simply claim that social media is the negative thing, the thing that's causing children to be lazy and all these other aspects, we're really misdiagnosing the problem. No child actually goes
Mm.
to social media and thinks, you know what, I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna feel like I'm being left out. Nobody starts their journey on social that way. It simply ends up being that way. I feel like as
Mm.
parents, what you should do is look at the problem as something of your own. Try diagnose it, as you said, screen time, as well as ensuring that they understand that social media is not everything. Because I feel like society is doing what it does for generations. There's not much that can be said about technology, as we're simply the users. But blaming social media and telling your child that social media is doing this to you, I feel like it's really misdiagnosing the problem, because all the child knows is social media. And if you're not showing that child another way and simply blaming
Mm.
social, I feel it's going to have a counterintuitive effect on the child, that is. Yeah. So moving forward,
Yeah.
really lovely
That's true.
discussion on
That's
that.
true.
Yeah, lovely discussion on that. Just to wrap it up, for the very final question, I'd like to know if you could be able to sit down with your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give to 20-year-old Ruth?
Interesting. I'd tell myself not to give myself a lot of pressure. A lot of young people nowadays, they want to figure out their lives by when they are 20, by 25, you've made it and all that. Don't give yourself pressure. You don't know where life will take you. I started off on a different path. I found myself in a different path that I actually really like. So just don't give yourself pressure to become something. Just go with the flow, learn as you go. You'll make mistakes here and there. You'll learn from them. You'll learn different things. You'll go different paths. So don't put pressure on yourself to achieve or to become something by a certain age. Life doesn't go like that. Life is diverse. Life has many corners. So just don't give yourself pressure to become anything. Just as long as you keep learning as you go, keep doing what you're doing, just work hard, and whatever you love doing, keep doing it.
Interesting take, and very timeless advice on that, on ensuring that you do what you do and keeping your head straight. Lovely. Now,
Yeah.
last and very, very final question is I usually like to ask my guests, did you have fun?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. It was a really lovely discussion. I've enjoyed the discussion.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, Ruth. It means a lot to me. Making time to be here. Simply being here means a lot to us at Zuriel and me as a whole. Do you have any last words before we wrap this up?
Thank you so much. I am happy to be here today. I'm privileged to be part of the discussions today and keep doing what you're doing. I'm really loving what you're doing about
Thank you.
empowering youth in Africa about digital. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ruth.
Okay, thank
If you
you.
made it to the
Ensure
end,
you.
thank you. Thank you. If you made it to the end, listeners, it means a lot to us. Make sure you follow Ruth. How can the people find you, Ruth, on social media?
I am on LinkedIn. My name is Ruth Mbugua. My photo is
Okay,
there. Yeah.
right. Perfect. If you made it all the way until the end, make sure you leave a like below. Go listen to the other podcast episodes if you haven't, and leave a like, comment, and subscribe below. It mean a lot to us. This has been episode 15 of the Zuriel podcast. See you soon.
Thanks.